quickly show 3 headlock defenses, and then after this demonstration, I'm gonna explain each defense and why we use each one. Last one. All right, so today we're going to go over 3 different headlock escapes that I believe everyone should know. So the headlock, again, usually is something that someone will do if they're not trained or haven't been training for very long. It's just instinctual for someone to grab a head by the neck in order to control someone on bottom. It's an okay control position if you don't know how to get out of it, but it's actually pretty simple to get out, and it's not the best way to control someone in grappling. So first thing I'm going to do for the very first escape is I'm trying to get my elbow up underneath me here. I don't want it out here, otherwise it's hard to start getting to my knees if I need to. So I suck my elbow in and I grip the wrist. This backhand is going to grab the shoulder, and this is when someone's really low on, their head's really low and tight to you, and they're trying to press you back down into the ground. But usually in order to press you back down on the ground, this knee is up. So again, I'm going to grab the wrist, and I'm going to grab the shoulder. This top leg, because you notice I'm on my hip, so this top leg is coming over and hooking around the leg closest to me and my opponent. Once I get here, I'm stretching my body out as hard as I can, and I maintain this stretch throughout the entirety of this next step. So as I stretch, it weakens this grip, and it puts my opponent in a very uncomfortable position. After this stretch, I start to push on this shoulder as I start to come up to my free knee. Here, turn this way. Once I get this position here, I'm gonna plant my hands, because if I don't plant my hands, I keep my hand here, there's a possibility of me continuing to be rolled over by this headlock. So I plant my hands here, and I come up into technical mount. From here, taking my back hand, the hand closest to my opponent's head, and I'm making a fist and I put it right on the jaw. This hand is coming ideally through the headlock grip and planting it on top of that fist, and I'm driving my head over my opponent's head. Once the grip breaks, I'm pinching down with my ear, collecting the wrist with my right hand. This hand is staying pinned the entirety of this technique. Walk my foot up, swing my leg around, coming back to an armbar. All right, so the second headlock defense is if, again, you get in a headlock and they're sitting up pretty high. They're sitting up high here, maybe they don't know how to change their weight in order to pin you to the ground, or their body is sitting high so they can punch you in the face. Whatever the case may be, they're sitting up nice and high like this while still maintaining this grip. From here, I'm gonna use this distance to my advantage. My hand on the back side of my opponent is gonna come over to the head and frame on the mandibular angle here of the jaw, while my other hand is coming up to support that frame. Ideally, I'd like my hand to come through, but depending how tight this grip is, it might not be feasible to get my hand through. Again, if my hand's outside, the distance is farther and the push isn't quite as good. So ideally, if it's loose here, which it might be if they're sitting way high, I want to bring my hand to the inside of this grip. I start to push my opponent away from me and extend as hard as I can in hopes, again, to break this grip. It might break it, it might not. But this next step is what will ideally break the grip. I'm moving my hips away, so like a shrimp out, as I throw my leg over the head and I push my leg down. From here, I have somewhat of an arm lock as well as the scissor choke with my legs. Pinch my knees together until I get the tap. So that's, again, if someone's sitting kind of high up during that headlock. The third headlock escape, scoot up a little bit, is if, it's called kesa gatame in judo, is if your arm has been now collected within this headlock. So it's, again, like I was saying in my last techniques, I want this elbow kind of below my ribs, but since they collected my arm and pulling up tight, I'm unable to do that. So from here, but it does allow me to grip my hands or grab my wrist and keep a really nice tight grip here around my opponent's waist. From here, I need my hips close to their hips. So this is a technique, again, if they have the arm collected and I'm unable to bring my leg around and grab that knee that's up. So every time to do this move in order to reverse position, I need to get my hips close to there, so I'm walking into them. Even if they start walking their hips away, I continue to follow. Come back. So as my hips, see, there's a big distance between the hips here. I bring my hips in. Once my hips are touching my opponent's hips, I'm arching my hips hard that way with like the idea of trying to plant their face on the mat. Here. Once I get here, their weight change forward, making their legs nice and light, and I start to roll and bridge to my opposite shoulder here. And then we can proceed into our grip break from before. So again, that's just three headlock escapes I believe everyone should know. One, when they're getting really nice and low on you. Two, when they're sitting high. Or three, when they have the arm in the kesa gatame.